Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Morning Coffee with Mike. Happy Wednesday. Today we have a special guest. May is joining us. She is 17 years old and she has a few questions that she wants to get answered. A few questions about why trading is so challenging, why are some people treating trading like gambling, and a few other very basic questions. I'm curious to get from her and from you guys what your questions are, and why are these questions coming to you? I think that's an interesting question to ask when we start to have some of these types of questions. Let's see if we could get her on and get her here live. Let's see. While we're getting that in, let me know where you're logging in from. And there she is. Okay, so let's. Okay, so I just invited May. Let's see if it works. It looks like it's working. There she is. Good morning. Can you hear me? There you are. Now I hear you. Yes. What time is it by you? Yeah, here it's 9:30. Market's just opened. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you, but it's a little staticky. We'll deal though. Yeah. Mhm. All right. So mm, that that's quite all right. That's quite all right. Uh, well, let's chat. So you had mentioned a couple of things in the form that you filled out to come onto the show. You had a couple of questions. Um, I'm curious to hear why
Funny
these questions
question
are
for
important
me
to you.
because in my country, and people keep thinking like, oh my god, as far as trading is a scam, and I wanted to share the community. Trading itself is not a scam. What is scam is people making trading is a scam. And that's why you
Mm.
these questions. So yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually don't think that the notion of trading being a scam is unique to your country. I think that it's pretty common, at least among my generation, right? So, when I was younger and I started to get into trading, my parents thought the same thing, that trading is a scam. My dad had tried investing once. He bought some shares of Disney, and he saw it go up, and then all of a sudden it went down. He got freaked out, and he sold the stock, and that was it for him. And he thought that it was just a big scam and a big waste of time. And so he discouraged me from it for years too. I feel uh, I feel that there's uh, a lot of negativity around trading and investing, and a lot of people don't understand how to do it properly. I think that some of the bigger problems when it comes to trading is that to do it well, it's just like learning any other kind of profession, whether you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. These kind of things, people go into it with the mindset, okay, I need to spend 4, 5, 6 years just learning. Then after I'm done learning, then I'll go off onto an apprenticeship and spend a couple of years doing that. And the length of time to actually get good is understood, that it's going to take multiple years and education and paying for education too. With trading, well, I should just be able to open an account, put some money in, and money falls out of the air. That was my belief when I first started too. And most of us learned the hard way that it's quite the opposite.
And I'm 17 right now, and I started learning when I was 15, since I was 15. And as a teenager, I don't have a lot of money to invest, so when I job so to pay me in dollars. So yes, I started working on a consulting company, and it's the best consulting company in my country, Myanmar. So it's called NFX company. So I work as a consultant, and like to people who want to go and trading but can't give them enough time. So we work things like that, and then I started investing money in my trading account. And what I do is, at first I don't trade with live account. I practice with a demonstration account, and then I build my and board and like consistently profitable right now. And I'm hard.
Okay, that's good. So tell me, well, what question do you have about? Well, you've been trading for a little while. Yeah. Well, tell me, what do you think would be helpful to you? What would you like
I want
to learn?
In my country, it's been school for like 2 years, and I wanted to make money. I want to be financially freedom. So I started looking. At first, I started searching on YouTube how to make 10K a month, and I saw those videos about this trading, and then I about it, and I read about the books, and I searched on YouTube, and I started practicing. And yes, for me I still have to learn so much, and trading field is never stop learning.
Yeah, I'd agree with all of that. I think that, well, when people think about, is it possible to make 10K a month, let's say, and to do it from very little? I think that the word possible is the word that makes that statement true, right? Because, well, when you start to think of like, oh, well, what's possible? Well, I like to believe that anything is possible. And so you could, out of how many billions of people on the planet, you could find at least one that's taken a small amount of money and has generated 10K or consistent returns from that small amount of money. What works for the majority, however, is allowing trading to compound. Right? So when you start out with a small amount, to be able to add to that starting capital and then grow it in a way that's going to be consistent, where let's say you're able to make 2% in a month, right? Like that doesn't sound like a lot, but over the course of a year, you're making 24% for the year. Look at any hedge fund, and you could be managing that hedge fund because that's a great return for them. So if you are able to consistently make a return investment, and do it in a way that's going to be sustainable, not just for a couple of months, but for over a couple of years, then what you're going to have isn't just a skill that you could use for yourself, and that everybody can totally use this kind of skill for themselves. I use this skill for myself. But it puts you in a position where you could go out to prop firms or go out to manage other people's money and get hired that way. And now all of a sudden you're managing millions and possibly even a $500 million account. So it makes it much more powerful that way, rather than being on one of these where you're taking these gigantic risks where you're able to leverage and make a quick return, but most of those people end up blowing up their account, because you can take a little bit, turn it into a lot, but you could also lose the whole thing. The idea with trading is to be in the game for as long as possible. That's a big part of it. We don't want to blow ourselves up. We don't want to lose our initial stake. So the thing about with trading, the thing about with percentages is that they work against us a lot more than they work for us. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that if you were to lose, say, 5% of your account, it takes about 5.5% to get back to even. Very simple to do. You lose 10%, you get 11%, and then you're back to even. But if you lose 50%, it takes 100% to get back to even. If you start to lose more, like it just creates such a deep hole to have to dig out of, and that's the problem that a lot of people that are starting out with small accounts and trying to grow very rapidly fall into, because they want to go all in with their accounts, and then they lose that little bit that they started with, and they're in this perpetual digging themselves out of a hole.
A lot of people, what trading is so popular in my country. In a Facebook group, like, oh, you can trade $50. Oh, what happened if lose? It's just $50. Some people don't value their money, and when it's come to $50, like, oh, it's just little money. I don't care if it's lose. And so, what is your opinion about? Should you trade with when you have money? With maybe $1,000 or something on that.
Yeah, I think that when you're first starting out, your focus should be on skill development. If I could go back in time and talk to my younger self, that would be the advice that I would give him. Focus on skill development first, and then later on, and as you're developing your skills, keep on squirreling money away. So that way, when you do start, you'll know what it is that you're doing. There's something in trading called tuition fees, right? The tuition fees of the market. And the tuition fees of the market can either be very expensive or they can be very cheap. And the tuition fees come in the form of losses. Right? So we all experience losses, but if we start out trading and let's say I have $1 million, right? Like I have $1 million, but I don't know anything about trading, and I start to trade this account, I might blow that up, right? I might lose the whole thing. I might lose half of it. Well, whatever it is. If I start out with 1,000, but I know what I'm doing, I can turn that 1,000 into 14,000, given enough time. So you're much better off focusing on skill development first, and then investing with whatever amount you're able to.
Some people, when it comes to money, some people trade during like a gambling, they flip a penny, and then it just comes to head like, oh, the market is going up, I'm going to buy, and in reality, the market falls down, lose all their money.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen a lot of people trading like gambling.
Well, one of the important things when it comes to capital for trading too is that you only want to use money for trading that you are able to lose. That if the money that I'm going to use for trading, now all of a sudden I can't pay for the lights to be on. I can't pay for my coffee. I'm going to be out on the street if I lose. That puts tremendous pressure on trading. And I'm not saying that it can't be done, because I know plenty of people that have done that and have done it successfully, but it's also a very stressful kind of life. I would much rather trade with money that is strictly dedicated for trading, that if I lost it, then nothing bad is going to happen. It still sucks to lose it, but if I lost it, I'd still be okay. So the sooner that you're able to budget for a trading account, the better. And that's where you're squirreling a little bit of money away each paycheck, each week, well, whatever you're able to do. And you could start small with that. If you're putting away $50 a week, $10 a week, even if that's where you're starting out, fine. Just getting into the habit of doing that, it'll grow. And then when you do have the skills to get in there and begin trading, you'll be so much better off. And you'll already have the habit of putting the money away. You'll have the habit of managing risk versus having to break a bunch of bad habits now that you have all this money, and you're in a much better position if you develop good habits early versus having to break bad habits late.
Do you go to technical and fundamental analysis? For me, I honestly do a lot of fundamental because the market in Myanmar, the market opened at 5:30 a.m. So when I wake up, I start happening today, and when markets open, I start doing technical analysis. So, or is it good? What is your opinion? What is your opinion on is it good?
Well, now that's an interesting spin on the question. Is it good? Well, the way that I define if it's good or not is, does it work? And to answer the question, does it work? I'm not just looking, does it work once? I'm looking, does it work over a long period? Does it work over multiple market cycles? If you have an edge that's consistently giving you returns over many market cycles, over many years, then yeah, it's good. If not, then no, it isn't. So the other part of your question about my process, I look at fundamentals, I screen based off of fundamentals, and I'll trade based off of technicals. So I want to filter the entire market, 9,500 stocks, down into, say, about 300 or so. And then from those 300, I have my universalist, what I call a universalist. And from there, I'm looking for certain patterns that I like to trade that have historically proven that they're going to have, that when they do work, that they'll have momentum. They work maybe about half the time, right? But the way that I'm able to make money over time is that I cap my downside when I'm wrong. I like to keep my risk maybe about 5%, 4% on average. And then my upside will be a lot more than that. Upside could be 10%, 15%, 20%. So that's how, with winning only half the time, if your loss is 5%, but your win is 15%, 20%, then that's something that's going to make money over time. So in a nutshell, that's how I'm trading. The news isn't part of it. I don't really look at the news at all. I feel as though let the market do the talking, right? The market is kind of like a giant voting machine. People are voting with the dollars, and so other larger entities than myself are taking in the news and other factors and making their decisions based on that. Even trading 6-7 figures, you don't have enough to move the market. The major institutions of the world that are trading hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, they're the ones that are moving the market. They can't move in and out of a trade like you and I can. So I'm focused on, when it comes to the actual trading part, on the technicals and moving in and out that way. Unfortunately, I think that we're out of time. We're a few minutes over here. It was great chatting with you, though. If you'd like to come back on in the future, go ahead, book another time. I think that this is great.
Thank you so much for having me. With you, I even sent you a message at.
Yeah, absolutely. Great talking to you. And I think that it's fantastic that you're starting out so early and that you're asking these kind of questions. If there's anything that I could do to help, if you have any other questions, reach out anytime.
Have a great day.
All right. Thank you. You too. Take care. Bye. All right. So tomorrow on the show, we'll be starting again 9:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday to Friday. If you'd like to book a time on this show, Morning Coffee with Mike, just click the link in my bio. Or if you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube or somewhere else, just click the link in the description and book a time. Again, we do this Monday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And I'll see you here tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye.